We have such an important role in people's lives. We are vital. We impact changes. We need to support each other and continue to invest in our learners and their outcomes.
Welcome to Instruction Insider, a Literacy Texas production that aims to serve instructors, volunteers, and administrators working with adult learners across the state of Texas. I'm Dr. Jenny McCormick Walker, Executive Director of Literacy Texas, and your host for this podcast. In the introduction of this episode, we heard Jackie Aguilera from the Houston Mayor's Office for Adult Literacy. She is our special guest this month. We'll hear more from Jackie in just a few minutes. September is National Literacy Month, and we are celebrating all month at Literacy Texas. I invite you to be part of all the activities we have going on. September 15th through 21st is Adult Education and Family Literacy Week, and to honor that, the Texas Rangers have invited some of our adult educators to attend their game for free. All of our baseball fans out there will not want to miss out on this fun event. We also have a few virtual training opportunities this month, like our What Leaders Need on September 24th, where our speaker will be Rachel Muir, an expert fundraiser who will walk us through the nuts and bolts of developing a fundraising plan for your organization. We also have a new program called Best of Texas on September 29th, which will focus on strategies to advocate for adult literacy in your community. You can find details about registering for the baseball game or the training sessions on our website at literacytexas.org. As we consider National Literacy Month, we want to take a look at literacy's very broad umbrella that encompasses so many things. When I'm working with our friends across Texas, one of the things I realize I have to do very quickly in conversations is help provide a good working definition of literacy for those who do not work in our field each day. In thinking about the way we approach literacy with our learners, I thought it would be interesting to speak with the Houston Mayor's Office for Adult Literacy. They have done extensive work in supporting functional literacy, and I thought it would be helpful for our community-based organizations across the state to take a look at this holistic approach to serving adult learners. Today we're talking with Jackie from the Houston Mayor's Office for Adult Literacy. Welcome, Jackie. Thank you so much for being here on the Instruction Insider.
Hey, I appreciate it, Jenny. I'm excited. Congratulations on this inaugural podcast. This is very, very exciting time.
Well, we are so thrilled to have you. You are a leader not only in the state of Texas, but everywhere. You're a celebrity. So we're honored that you had time to meet with us today to talk about some of the work that you guys are doing and some of the things that really make up the very important holistic look at supporting our adult learners so that we can make sure we're providing the best possible environment for successful outcome. Do you mind just sharing a little bit about what you guys do? I think you have such a unique and wonderful opportunity here that really shows how the city of Houston values and understands the urgency of supporting adult literacy.
Thank you so much. One of the really big pieces for the Mayor's Office for Adult Literacy is that it's the only active office of its kind in the nation.
Yeah.
So that really makes it a very special piece of the adult literacy ecosystem and the field as a whole. But Houston has a legacy of supporting adult literacy that dates back to the 80s. Every mayor that has been elected has always seen the importance of having an empowered community, the connection between the foundations of literacy, which of course basics are reading, but then its impact in every other area of life. In that respect, our office was created right before the pandemic, which is a very interesting time to be birthed, if you will.
Yeah.
But it brought in a perspective of literacy that we have as educators, as being professionals in this field, have been trying to get people to understand that literacy with reading as its core is so much more. And of course, during the pandemic, that translated into digital literacy and understanding the technology, being completely isolated if you were unable to access, to have the ability to use, even when given the tools. So these were opportunities that our office had to participate in different types of events, different types of promotions that supported what the adult providers could do in the city. That has since grown into a supportive network, and that is what is unique about our office as well. We do not provide direct services to the learners. We support those with the boots on the ground. We support all the organizations that are impacting our learners every day. And that is through making sure that they have connections, partnerships, opportunities at pilot programs, being able to be supported with different types of supplies. See that graph behind me? I'll move my head the right way. There we go.
Yep.
You have functional literacy, which is our traditional literacy, reading, writing, numeracy, critical thinking, oral communication, but it's contextualized in applications. Now, this came after the Houston Adult Literacy Blueprint, and we did that in 2020 because you're isolated. What else can we do but research? So we did research. We involved learners, businesses, so many stakeholders from the literacy ecosystem into this research that was supported by the Barbara Bush Houston Literacy Foundation. And we created not only just a snapshot of adult literacy in Houston, but strategies and goals. And where this got contextualized is in this graph, where you can see there are applications for financial, environmental. We just had a hurricane. So environmental literacy came in a lot of handy here, trying to navigate through the challenges. But then health literacy and everything contextualized with digital. And this is one of the big pieces for us right now, is supporting providers in understanding the integration of technology within all the subject areas. I've done a couple of trainings recently, and I've informed everyone, we're no longer siloed by our subject expertise. We're not just an ESL instructor, GED, ABE, IET. We are all digital literacy coaches with a specialty area. And this is something that is so important to our field. We have gotten a funding from the American Recovery Programs Act, the ARPA funds, 3 years ago, that helped us establish a team of digital literacy navigators, as well as a coordinator for that grant, who have since established 4 digital equity labs in partnership with providers in the community so that they can have top-notch technology and ed tech software access to help their learners and to help the community advance their skills and their workforce preparation. This is the kind of cool stuff we get to do.
Yes, that is so incredible and so exciting. So with Houston is huge. We know this. Do you have an idea about how many literacy programs are in the Houston area that you guys work with?
To our collection purposes, we've been able to identify at least between 32 and about 45 providers that are regular part of the adult education ecosystem for Houston. And that includes both federally funded and non-federally funded. We have been growing that assessment out to grow our directory that includes all of the adult literacy affiliates that are associated within that ecosystem. So now we have wraparound services, health like Legacy. We have for-profits, nonprofits, all these different entities that help support the learners, and it's building our directory. Now, even with the limited number of providers that we have been able to account for and collect data for, they're still collectively serving a little over 52,000 people. And when you think about, that's the ones we've gotten to know about. Yeah. It's phenomenal what could really be going out there. And that's our biggest challenge is continuing the outreach, those opportunities to be at meetings, at different opportunities to meet new people. And thank you so much, because doing things like this to let people know there is such a thing as a mayor's office for adult literacy to partner and connect with, so we can help make those connections continue to flow and be mutually beneficial.
How do you encourage, or how do you help people understand that importance of working together and pulling together resources to support adult learners?
You know, part of it is, it goes back to very important part of what we in adult education have been focusing on, which is advocacy. Mm-hmm. And that's a big piece of our office. Each of us in this field are ambassadors. And here, you know, we take that as our role very seriously. Mm-hmm. Our director, Federico Salas Cisnardi, is, you know, very well known and very well respected in the field, and he is everywhere. He takes the opportunity to speak, to present, to be a presence in national leadership opportunities, the All In Network, which is the national initiative, you know, bringing to the national forefront adult education. He's been a part of that since its inception. You know, so meeting with the colleagues, meeting with the people who are moving and changing, being actively involved with the major organizations that are representative of our thousands of people in the field, Literacy Texas on the state front, looking at COA, pro-literacy, looking at the different types of the regional, the Gulf Coast region, you know, representatives, and being present, being interactive. We are, you know, at many times the representation of the people we serve. So everything we learn, we present, we share, we make connections. So it helps to bridge those opportunities. And that includes the for-profit meetings, being at Chamber of Commerce meetings. We have a group, the Greater Houston Initiative here, and those guys, they are a great membership of for-profit major, you know, Fortune 500 companies. And to be in the presence of these guys, to go, okay, these are your challenges. Did you know there's such a thing as adult education? And most of them don't, but the ones that do, they go, well, yeah, we have partnerships with the colleges and universities. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, no, time out. There's a whole other branch of adult education that they're entities, nonprofits. They're working to prepare the future of the workforce, your future attendees of your certification programs, of your 2-year degrees, 4-year degrees. They are the people you're looking for. And adult education is how you're going to connect with them. This year, I put together our Provider Network Social, what I called the Provider Social Event of the Season. What we did is we flipped the script on what everyone thinks of as a meeting, because it's the meeting that wasn't a meeting. The whole purpose was to make connections, make new partnerships, and grow. And I had one of the attendees pulled me aside and said, Jackie, you know, oftentimes we come to these meetings and we're just hoping that in between everybody talking at us, that we might be able to meet 1 or 2 people. It's that you turn this entire 2-hour event into activities that do nothing but engage us with each other. Yes. Everyone, the feedback we got back from that event was, I left with more connections that I had. I will invite someone to this event next year, and definitely I will attend. And we got suggestions for improvement. And I tell you, when people suggest improvements, that means they liked what you did.
Yeah.
And so it was, you know, Jenny, I've been everything in this field.
Yeah.
I've been tutor, I've been all the way up to a director, and now, you know, I'm project manager here for the office. That understanding of what administrators need, coordinators need, teachers need, the connection. Sometimes, yes, our professionalism, our expertise, the resources are great, but sometimes we need to get out of the way. What they need are each other. So if we can help coordinate, and I like to call myself a matchmaker, if I can matchmake people, I'm happy. And I really think with this office's unique role as an advocate, as a policy influencer, as a voice, as a representation, as a messenger for those who need a collective voice. It's so important. And this type of model can be replicated. It should be replicated in other cities around the nation because, the more we can collaborate with each other, the stronger we'll be. And more important, the more successful our learners and their families are going to be.
Absolutely. And I really hope that our community organizations across the state can use that as a model to replicate, helping people understand what it is that we do, why we do it. I've just been in this job a few months. But I can't tell you how many people that I've had to just help them understand the broad spectrum of literacy and that we don't just read books to kids. And it's not because they don't care, it's simply just a matter of they just don't understand because we're in it every day. We know folks who are not in this work, they don't understand the depth of the impact that adult literacy has on so many other systems. And having these events, having these conversations with people in for-profit companies, people in other nonprofit that their mission may not exactly connect with literacy, but they all touch because we're serving a lot of times the same population of men and women. Just simply having those conversations is so critically important. And I love that you're facilitating that through events, being willing to let other people invest in what you're doing. And it's not just an ask for money, but it's an ask for like, come be part of our network. And I love that. I love the way that you're doing that. And you're not only doing that with the greater Houston area, the business leaders and the other community leaders, but you're doing it within the literacy organization so that everybody can connect to that network as well. And so I think this is such a brilliant model, and kudos to the city of Houston for recognizing that and creating this office.
And following up with what you're saying, Jenny, and that's, I think, because of traditional nonprofit work is so embedded in the feel-good attitude.
Right.
And that it's not a business mindset. And we have to understand that what we do is a business. We're in a people business.
Sure.
But it's still a business. And in any business, there is no such thing as you build it and they will come. That's a fairy tale. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
But you have to brand and market. You have to have a communication that relates to your audience. So it's not even just one message. You have to determine which message for which audience and for what purpose. This is one of the reasons why the graphic behind me was developed, because it's part of our marketing tool. Right. We have it in our background. I go to this. This wasn't just for the podcast. I have this all the time, and I'm in different meetings. And I mean meetings from, the Greater Houston Partnership. It could be the Texas Broadband Office. It could be, a meeting from about the economy. And people see this, and I inevitably, one or two people will send me a private message and go, where do I get that? What? And it's like, I didn't know. I was in a meeting, and it was a Greater Houston Partnership meeting, and one of our Texas representatives was there talking about education and building partnerships, career pathways. And I brought up the stat, and this came out of the Blueprint research. Now, the national stat that we've always carried is the 1 in 5. 1 in 5 are challenged with basic functional literacy. But the international study, the PIAC study, came out 2022. They released their U.S. focus. And in the United States focus, they drilled it down to counties within states. So for the first time, we had Harris County data.
Yes.
So here we were talking about 1 in 5. Well, guess what? In the fourth largest city in the United States, our statistic is 1 in 3.
Yeah.
1 in 3 Houstonians in the fourth largest city are challenged with functional literacy. And I shared that with her. Now she has an education background. She's not someone who doesn't know. And she stopped and told me, make sure you get my card because I want to discuss this. I mean, it shook her up. And this goes to your point. We need to find ways to the table. We don't need to wait to be
Right.
invited to the table. We need to go to the tables. If they
Yes.
tell us, excuse me, you don't belong here, well, I'm so sorry, but I thought I should show up and share adult education with you
Yes.
anyway. The thing is making sure that we make the connection. For most people, as you said, that are not in this every day, they're not thinking about it. But when pandemic, when you sent children home to their parents and you said, okay, now you guys are going to help teach your children. Here's this link, that link, this, you're going to have to do this, and you had degreed, advanced professionals scratching their heads, biting their nails and going, I don't know what to do with my kids. Okay, that's a literacy issue. Hello, welcome to adult literacy.
Yes.
And, you know, setting your phone. I wake up to an alarm in the morning. It's on my phone. I know how to do this. Guess what? That's digital literacy.
Right.
There's so much. I did a training recently and we went through this a reading. It said, I just got paid. What happened to my paycheck? And it was about this person first time with a job and all the taxes that are taken out of the paycheck.
Yeah.
And we went through that. And on the surface, it's such an obvious financial literacy lesson. But when you break it down to all its elements, you see exactly all the different pieces that are involved. So when a company's saying, you know, we don't have enough talent to fill positions, well, what does that mean? Well, let's look at adult literacy and all the pieces it prepares a potential employee for you that could fill that gap.
Right.
And this is why you need to support adult literacy. Safety, we're talking about community safety, police, fire. You're talking about taking care of a community. Well, if your community doesn't understand how to use the systems, doesn't understand, has language issues, doesn't feel like there's a connection between the people who provide the services and the people who need the services. If you're looking for good quality people to become firefighters, to become good, responsible law enforcers in our communities, we need an educated talent pool. Who is doing that? It's not traditional education all the time because traditional education isn't for everyone.
Right.
And that's, again, that's for us as amplifiers to be there to get the messaging out, to help decision makers from all the way your politicians down to your community leaders, your business for profits, to understand what exactly it is that we do, because we can't hold them accountable for something that they don't understand.
Right.
And the only people who can help them understand is us.
So can you tell us about, and I know you have a million stories, but can you think of a couple of success stories that have come out of this? Maybe some students who have really benefited from this holistic approach, or maybe organizations that you've seen in Houston who have done this really well that you would share?
Sure. Well, you know, as you said, I mean, the stories, and that's where really the impact is so evident. You know, when you take someone who, for example, you know, there's a student that I know of that worked for the city, and when they transitioned to electronic scheduling for the different jobs and things that were going on. She was in the department. They're in charge of keeping the parks cut and clean. And before it was on paper, no problem. But they transitioned over to using Excel. And they started using different systems, no more pen and paper. And she had to carry around that device, that little, like a BlackBerry, you know, those old devices, you know, plugging that in. And she's like, I have no clue. And so she had to get into, you know, a digital class, a computer class, and learn some of the basics to keep her job. And, a promotion was at stake. If she could not learn, and that's really what's going on with a lot of things is technology, artificial intelligence isn't taking over. The people who know how to use it are taking over.
Right.
So it's so essential to be inclusive. We have this wonderful work that we're doing with the digital equity labs. I mentioned those earlier.
Yeah.
And our digital literacy navigator team, our coordinator, and what they have been doing is through the partnerships that I've been helping to evolve, such as with Learning Upgrade, with Learning Upgrade and CEL-Ed, and working with the Houston Galveston Area Council. They have helped us secure seats for providers in these education, these equity labs, that it's not in the buckets to purchase all of these things. And so taking that and just providing the access, we know is not enough. Teachers need to feel comfortable with it. Students need to feel comfortable with it. So what has evolved is a support model where the digital navigators and the coordinator go out to the labs. And now we have one of the non-labs, a CBO, that's done it too. And they've gone for a full class day of helping everyone get introduced to the programs, get them online, one-on-one with each one, get them online, even the teacher, helping them navigate, helping them get comfortable.
Right.
And these were the same sites where there was a struggle without that support model to use the software, the tools, that insecurity, that intimidation, that, well, I've always done it this way, or I'm not sure. And now the data proves it. We look at the reports on usage, and you can see this huge spike from before and after. So again, that supportive piece. One of the organizations, Adult Education Center, has been one of the really great examples of taking what we usually do and just doing it. Their partnerships are grown exponentially because their director has basically gone out to anyone who is impacted by adult literacy and said, hey, did you know? And if you don't support programs like ours, these are the problems that will persist. I brought up safety, a while ago. If we're looking at, why are people participating in illegal activities? Well, because they feel like that's their only choice.
Mm-hmm.
If you change the direction of those individuals' options, not just for minimum wage jobs, because that's not a competitive wage
Right.
between those choices.
Right.
But if you can train individuals into career prep or even entrepreneurship, where they're going to make a competitive wage with legal products than illegal products, now we see the potential for changing the outcomes and the safety in communities. Because a community that doesn't feel desperate will not continue to act desperate.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where this is so important.
Oh,
Being able to
that.
build those. Thank you. I speak from my heart, and that's all I can do. And this is where, all the experience comes in. This is where, like with the Adult Education Center, I think it's brilliant. They didn't have enough room for more classes. Okay. Typical problem. We go, oh my gosh, now we got to fundraise. Now we got to, no. She went to the surrounding universities and said, hi, we have this, we can do this. A lot of the remedial classes are no longer supported with financial aid. You have students who are on conditional admission or didn't meet the standards. Hey, how can we help with your retention at this university? How can we help with your recruitment? How about partnering with us? And we will use your beautiful classrooms and your beautiful arrangement there, parking, I mean, all the problems we have usually with community-based organizations, and hold a class for adult education there. And what that does is it builds a career pathway, because while they're there, they're in the university environment, and wow, all of a sudden the potential, the possibilities. Ooh, what is this going on? Oh, they have these type of certification programs. They have this type of degree, 2-year degree, 4-year degree. All of a sudden it's like, wow, or even hiring possibilities.
Mhm.
You know, it just opens up doors. I mentioned the Chamber of Commerce's. This director belongs to several chambers of commerce, is involved with them, has an adult education class for entrepreneurship at one of the Chamber of Commerce buildings. You know, so you mentioned this earlier. It's not just about money,
Right.
the value of partnerships, because what ends up happening with those guys is they see the value add of that partnership. So when you are fundraising, when you are having that event, it's not such a hard sell. They already know that there's a benefit. And taking those as examples and then sharing them with folks who don't know, so that you have an established experience that you can share. Hey, we partnered with XYZ. We partnered with this company, this hotel, this restaurant, this business, and this is what we did for them. This is what we did for the existing employees. This is what we did with the potential talent pool. This is what we did for families. This is the result of their children's grades because we help the parents. That's the branding, the marketing, the messaging,
Yeah.
not amongst ourselves, because this is preaching to the choir,
Right.
taking it all out there.
One thing that I just thought about as you were talking about the partnership with the university, you know, not only are we bringing these community partners into the work that we're doing, but we are also taking our students who are often not invited to be part of the network, who are often overlooked, underserved, and now we're bringing them into the network as well, into environment that might be intimidating without our help.
It's difficult enough for you to show up to an adult education location and admit that there are things within you that are lacking.
Yes.
And you're a quote unquote adult.
Yes.
And here it is to take that, and part of what is so important for our field, really, you know, instructor slash counselor. I mean, we help people with self-esteem.
Yes.
I think more than anything, that confidence building. Yes, you can. You can do this. You just proved it to yourself. That is so essential. And then to bring in people from the community to start building relationships and to go, yeah, you can be over here. Yes, we do want you. Those yeses, because most of the people we serve have gotten so many no's in their life. No is the word they probably know the most.
Yes.
And it's within our power to change that dynamic. It's so important.
I think about the amount of courage that it takes for our adult learners to walk into the door on day one. I have heard many of my former students tell me that they have driven up and sat in the parking lot multiple times before they ever could just get up the courage to come in. For so many of them, all they have ever known is failure. But to trust our organizations with this one more Hail Mary and hoping that it sticks.
Yeah.
That is something that we as instructors, as leaders, cannot take for granted. That's one of the reasons that your organization, our organization, why we take this so seriously in providing that professional development training, because we want to make sure that our instructors have every tool in their tool belt that they need to not allow them to experience that failure again.
You know, opportunities is the big, you know, the opportunities is the operative word, because, you know, we also work with so many people who come with degrees, talents.
Yes.
They come with an entire life experience, and they get here, and because of certain barriers, they're limited in their income options.
Yes.
And that too, being able to explore their potential that they're bringing. One of the growing opportunities on the IET end is that translator certification. I mean, you know, you're coming in fluent with Spanish, with Vietnamese, with you know, Farsi. You know, you're coming in with, and we talk about business, but let's talk about healthcare industry, where you're dealing with people from all over the world, especially here in Houston. We're one of the mega centers, especially for cancer treatment, for innovations in medical. There are people that fly here from all over the world to get care, and they need people who can interpret for them. That is a huge field of opportunity. So helping our learners understand too that they're coming with talent. They're not coming here with deficits.
Right.
They're coming here with talents that we need to help them navigate and find a pathway to succeed, which is where, again, those partnerships are important, those apprenticeships are important, those opportunities to have connections beyond our organization so that we can have those pathways and broaden our programs so that they meet the needs of students where they are, whether they are true no literacy, low literacy,
Right.
or they're coming in at a very high functioning, high education level, but have just a few barriers that are preventing them from, again, having a thriving wage opportunity. We're not doing service to our learners if what we prepare them for is minimum wage jobs and minimum wage opportunities. That's not breaking cycles of poverty.
Right.
And this is a big key for us to push to get people to recognize is the minimum's not enough. And it's not enough for anyone. And if we truly want to have a healthy economy, safer communities, participating people from all over the world who want to become citizens, who want to participate within this society that we call the United States of America. We want to build a healthy country. We have to invest in the tools that are going to create the people and the opportunities for them to do so.
Yes.
And you know, that's the bottom line here, and that's why adult education needs to be understood and it needs to be supported.
What advice would you have for learning centers across Texas or in Houston who want to get started on developing a program that kind of centers around this holistic look or building this network?
Well, one of the first things that I do recommend is look at Houston's Adult Literacy Blueprint. Everything is there. It's amazing. On our website, and you can use any search engine you would like, put in Mayor's Office for Adult Literacy. You will find us. And you can look, we have in our video series, our director actually led a discussion on the blueprint and talks about how you can create and use the blueprint to help you direct your programs, direct the way that you want to design your service to the community through adult literacy. The other thing that's available on our website is the directory. Reach out to other organizations, start making those pathways and those partnerships. And of course, it doesn't matter where you are in this country or even globally, you can contact our office. We get phone calls from all over the place. And, you know, that's part of what we do as well. We're not here, even though we're homed and in our backyard is Houston, but we're not designed just for Houston. We're designed for the benefit of the people, and the people are everywhere. So please, if you need us, reach out to us. You'll find my information, our director's information, all our staff is there. But if we can help, we'll help. If we can advise, we will advise. Get involved with your associations. Literacy Texas, COABE, Pro Literacy, you know, the national, all the national organizations that support technology, integration of technology, diversity. here I mentioned Houston Money Week is a big part of financial education. Look at all the different entities that are involved in this wheel. Which way am I going? This wheel, that wheel.
Yeah.
Involved in all the parts of the ecosystem.
Yeah.
And start creating your own collaborative, because that's the way that you will survive. That's the way that you provide service. And with the way, going back to the business side of the house, the way funding is looking, and especially now that technology-based funding is going to open up for many states, that part of it's going to trickle down to nonprofits. They're looking at how many people have collaborated for these monies. So,
Right.
you know, that's going to be the key, is partnerships and collaborating. There is plenty for all if we work together for the good of all. We're not going to continue to thrive if we negatively compete. Competition is good, but there's a positive competition and a negative competition. Right. If we negatively compete, we're just going to hold each other back.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm a firm believer that when we work together, we all win. We all win. Texas win. We are all in this together. And this work is hard. We do some heavy lifting. And it's a whole lot lighter when we can share the load with our friends. So thankful for your time today. Is there anything else that you want to add here as we wrap up our time together today?
I want to say that just remember that there is an ultimate purpose, and there is something that binds all of us, and that is our desire to have a fruitful quality of life. Yeah. Everyone, no matter what level, what station of life you are, you know, economics, anything, everyone wants a good quality of life. And what that means is looking at the commonly shared success points and being familiar with what your organization does, what you do, whether you're an instructor, coordinator, administrator, director, no matter what your place is, and understanding and being able to sell that concept as how it connects for the greater good of all of the community, even with our learners. Our learners need to understand how important they are to the whole of the community. It's important for them to learn these things because they are contributing to the health and welfare of the community, the city, the state, the nation. And understanding how much influence we have is key. And remembering that as adult educators, we have such an important role in people's lives. We are vital, we impact, and we have changes. We need to support each other and continue to invest in our learners and their outcomes. And then, you know, I always tease, I say, put us out of business. You know, what I mean by that is so that adult education and adult literacy isn't a red light, urgency, fire issue. Yeah. Will there always be a need for us? Yes. Can we make it where it's not a 911 issue? Yes. Should we? Yes. And we can, as long as we keep working together.
Well, thank you so much for your time today. This is such a great conversation, and we'll continue to engage you guys in the work that is happening across Texas. Thank you.
I appreciate it, Jenny. Thank you for the invitation. Anytime.